Good morning, Lafayette. It is great to talk to you again this morning. I am meteorologist Brian Burden with your forecast for what day is it? It is Thursday already, March 26th. We're almost into April. Easter is just over the horizon, and a beautiful spring and summer is ahead for the Lafayette area. I feel positive that people are going to enjoy this summer, weather-wise anyway, that it comes from. All the other things in life, I can't help you with there. Some things will be good for you. Some things will be bad. Just depends on who you are and how optimistic or pessimistic you look at each thing that you're talking about. So I've always had that feeling that the blessings are poured out to me from God, and I should stay optimistic despite the pain I'm in or whatever problems it may be at any given point. So hopefully you can do the same for yourself too. It is a glorious morning. And when I mean glorious, when would you expect temperatures somewhere in the 60s in the early morning hours of March? Now, there comes two things and caveats with the glorious morning of 62. Normally it's about 30, 53, and 34 are our highs and lows. So we're already 10 degrees above what we normally see for our high here at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, right? A few showers went through last night, maybe a few little thunderstorms here or there, a couple small ones, nothing major, but we are starting to develop a more severe potential for tonight. And unfortunately for those of you sports fans out there, it's going to be right during the Purdue basketball game, of course, from 7 o'clock to about 10 o'clock. And I'll get into all the details coming up here in a second. But that's when we're focusing on the potential for severe weather locally here in Lafayette. And especially as you start to go farther east, again, too. A little better when you get over towards Logansport, Kokomo. Back off towards Fort Wayne. There's a big swath, but we're kind of on the tail end of that kind of potential for the severe weather. Even though it extends all the way into Illinois, we're at that tail end of it. So we'll see how that goes as we get into the evening and see how it develops, because as of yesterday, it didn't look as bad as it is for this morning so far that we're looking for this evening, but it still doesn't look terrible. Our chances for tornadoes are very, very slight. They're like in the 2 to 5% range, and the chances for hail are in the 15% range, and the chances for wind are in the 30% range there. So that's for most of us, at least locally. So those are the numbers and percentages right now. But locally right now, it's just a gorgeous day, isn't it? It's really beautiful out there. Let's take a look at some of the numbers right now. I'm going to jump right into the charts. While I choke. There we go, guys. Try not to choke into the microphone, they say, right? All right, currently 63 degrees and sunny skies here in Lafayette. I can see some of the dampness on the ground out there in spots, at least where I'm at up north of Battleground. Maybe you have some more, especially farther south. If you get down towards Crawfordsville, it looks like they got some pretty decent rain overnight. Not as bad here in the Lafayette area. Winds are currently already shifted around to the south at 10 miles an hour. So it's 63, feels like 62. You know how the warmth of the sun feels this time of the year. It feels very warm to your skin. So it actually probably feels warmer than 63 to you out there. But a little bit of 10 mile per hour wind, which is going to help pull in the warmth from the south and from the southwest. That'll be coming in as the day goes on. So I expect these winds to pick up too as the day goes on. Temperatures around the area: Joliet's 59, Fort Wayne 63, Muncie 61, Danville 63, Bloomington 64. So you can see everybody above normal here in the early morning hours around locally. So we see the numbers. We know what we're looking at least weather-wise. Visibility's unrestricted. Pressure's probably dropping a little bit to 9.78. And we're going to see what actually, from there, where the jet stream is and what we're looking at. So let's go to the continental views here real quick before we zoom in, and we can see now that the ridge is kind of over the Central Plains area. Remember how it was ridging? That's the bulging over a high pressure system was out over the great the Great Basin of Nevada, right, last week, and it kind of arced over the Rocky Mountains and then dropped and went down across the southern portion of the United States towards Florida and there. And so the people on the East Coast had cool weather, and the people out on the West Coast had very, very warm weather. Well, now that ridging, you can kind of see it. You can almost draw it right in there, right where the jet stream is now over the Central Plains area, right? And is moving towards the east as it's kind of flattening out at the same time. Well, because the jet stream has now moved itself over and we still have a low-level jet potential for it tonight, it looks like we may be able to get just a spin here or there of a tornado chance tonight with the weather as it comes in. Right now, though, we're wide open. We look pretty good. And then the trough in the west or the east coast is starting to fall apart, and it's because the ridge is going to come rushing into it. And then it's going to drop our temperatures for a little bit after a day or two. After the ridge goes by, we'll reset everything back up, and we'll see ridge out to the west, a little bit of troughing in the east, and we'll see the same pattern set up and come across over the next couple of days. Repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse. A lot of 2 to 3 days of cold, 2 to 3 days of warm. The good news is a lot of the 2 to 3 days of cold is just getting us back down to average, and our 2 to 3 days of warm are far above average. So if you like that kind of weather, you're going to be good to go over the next few days. So here's Lafayette. I put it here on the cursor if you're watching. You're not sure exactly where Lafayette is. You can see the clouds coming in from the west and northwest through Minnesota, Wisconsin, kind of shooting across the top. These little disturbances down here is what we're going to run into as this big, broader area of a low-pressure system kind of cuts across, and then these tail ends of this thing is hanging down around it. We'll be getting in closer. Let's look in real close to us. Here's Lafayette right now, and you can see it looks pretty clear, doesn't it? Not bad at all. I see some clouds coming in off to the northwest there. Will they get in the baseball game today up in Chicago? It's going to be a tough call. Looks like the thunderstorms want to pop up there maybe early in the afternoon. So the Cubs game goes at 1:20 Central Time, but that's 2:20 our time. So I'll take a look at that because it is opening day for the Chicago Cubs up there today. And then they get a day off tomorrow. That's how that works. So if the game doesn't go today, they'll be able to get it in tomorrow, I think. It'll be a lot colder tomorrow, but today they'll have a warm day. We'll check that out when we get a little closer for the Cubs game. But here we are right there in Lafayette. And unfortunately for us, we know that the thunderstorms are going to form somewhere right in here after looking at it yesterday, if you remember. So there it is right now. No real precipitation on here. I'm going to switch over to Mosaic real quick. You notice there's the showers from last night all the way down by Cincinnati already this morning. There was a tail end I could see coming through Crawfordsville and then Indianapolis right there. You could see that. And then there's a little bit of light rain involved in here with some of this. But right now it doesn't look like it's going to do much. It's going to fall apart as it kind of bangs into the high pressure system itself. And then the low is way up here. And everything kind of develops along this pattern here, right up to our north and to our northwest as the day goes on throughout the day and into tonight. Let's take a quick look at the Storm Prediction Center's idea of what's going to happen, and there it is. They've got the broad area over us for today. Enhanced, we are in the 3 category. Slight is yellow, so it's anywhere pretty much in the Midwest, from Illinois all the way over to Pennsylvania. And thunderstorm activity is anywhere from Kansas all the way over to Massachusetts. So it's got a big stretch, but you notice the stretch is west to east, isn't it? It's not north to south or even southwest to northeast like you kind of normally see. It's a west to easter because it's trying to dive down around the ridge, right? The ridge is here. It's trying to dive down to get into the troughing area out to the east of us, and we're going to catch kind of the edges and the tail end of it, with most of the priority area being right here, which is more of Ohio and probably eastern Indiana. That does not mean we don't have a chance. It just means we have a little less chance than they do over there. So that's what we're going to see on that front. Let's go back to the College of DuPage page where we can see the new model runs, and the latest 12Z has only got 29% in, but that may cover for what we need. So we'll let it go for a little bit. We'll let it run for a little bit. We'll go back to the 11Z because it does cover out till tonight, and I want to see what's going on that front. And here we go. there's the showers that are passing off down towards Cincinnati, right? And then we kind of see the developing showers up to the north. There's that little wave we could see on the radar chart, right? We could see that right there. And then we see a little scattered of that kind of falling apart as it comes towards Lafayette being right here on the chart. And this is 1 o'clock this afternoon. Just a slight, chance for a shower there. It's north of us mainly. Just falls apart as it gets here. And then, so 2 o'clock. Where's 2 o'clock? Let's find 2 o'clock. So that would be 14 plus 4 is 18, right? There we go. The opening start of the Wrigley's looks like it could be okay, but then within an hour they have showers on them right there, just like that. All developing along this frontal boundary right here and just to the north side of it as it pushes through. So the front has gone north of us, right? We're in the warm sector down here. You got a low here kind of projecting out, and then it tails off into another low way off the chart, off to the northeast there. All right, so all to the north of that boundary is where the showers and thunderstorms are going to develop. But it's going to sag to the south, and when it does that, it's going to get us all in this general area here through the central portion of the country. Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio especially, it looks like right now. Now we go out a little bit, we see a pretty good band of showers and thunderstorms pop up. This is about 4 o'clock this afternoon, our time. So the ball game looks like it might get washed out there. But for us, we're still high and dry. 5 o'clock, we're good. 6 o'clock, everything looks fine. 7, we start to see some rumblings here, right? The first line of thunderstorms. Now, it could pop up here, could pop up there, could pop up right on top of us around that time frame. So remember, anywhere in this general area is where our first shot of thunderstorms. And you notice there's a pretty thick band out over towards Ohio. Hence, the target area was more centered over Ohio, right? Let's go back to that real quick. You notice the biggest area is Ohio. I would put it right here. So we put from probably the middle of Indiana to the middle of Ohio is your best chances, right? If you want to really center in on that point. And sure enough, Ohio sees some sparkings. But look at this. This is our best chance, right around 7 o'clock or so tonight. That is 7 o'clock. Should be just north of Lafayette. And by 8 o'clock, it's on us or near us. See how they're developing? And it kind of shows a shower over Lafayette by 8 o'clock. But and south of town still looks pretty good at this time frame. But then at 9 o'clock, boom, it's kind of pushed through us by that time frame. And 10 o'clock, it's the whole big band is all around us and near us and slowly just edging towards the south. And then by 11, it starts to clear out a little bit. You see that? And there's a secondary band of showers and maybe some thunderstorms, but these will be more of the general variety where you just get lightning, maybe some gusty winds out of those. It's this front band that we got to watch out for. Now, yesterday, when you looked at it, about here, it kind of cut itself off in central Indiana, right? That's why we were talking about the chances seem slim. And today, they're only a little better than they were yesterday. But but there is a chance to get that in there, all right? So there is a chance for the thunderstorms in there along this. Now, that's 10 o'clock tonight. So we've got that band from like 7 to 10. So there is 8 o'clock, and it's on us, 7 to 8 o'clock, right? So anywhere around that time frame, and we're going to see showers and some thunderstorm potential through here and coming through. And then a secondary band comes through a little later, like midnight, 1 o'clock it starts, and it'll push itself through probably by about 4 or 5 in the morning. So most of you driving into work early in the morning, say 6 o'clock, you're not going to run into too much at all. Let's zoom in real close on this real quick and take a look at it real quick and see what it looks like moisture-wise. So you see the first little system bump through, right? The first little low, and it just maybe throws a shower north of town up here, up near Rensselaer and Winnemac, that kind of place up that farther to the north, up towards the lake. There we are at 19Z, which would be, that would be 3 o'clock in the afternoon, our time, 2 o'clock at Wrigley, time frame for the game to be about an hour into going on. So anywhere in that time frame, we're going to see something pop up, and then it looks like it's going to be just settling into our north. We can kind of almost see a line right here. This is about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, right? We're looking at this, and then it's 6. But see, it's still kind of north of us, right? Everything's still kind of north of us, and it's sagging slowly to the south. So there's 6 o'clock. Then 7, we start to pick up some thunderstorms up and or near us. And I would say any time probably after 6. Right now, it looks like we could. I mean, the 7 is the time frame they're looking at, but let's call it 6 or so. You don't have to be very far off on the model to really to see the potential there for the thunderstorms this evening. And then by 8 o'clock, it's almost on us, just to the north of Lafayette by that time frame. And by 9 o'clock, it kind of shows the thunderstorms on us, and we're getting showers and some other smaller thunderstorms developing behind the system. And then it kind of caves itself down, and that's 10 o'clock, almost the showers are past, and by 11 they're kind of past us, and we just have steady rain and maybe a couple bumps of thunder after that. And let's take a look at the lightning, because for me that's just an easy illustration of where your thunderstorms are going to be during that time frame. They're going to match up pretty well here. All right, let's keep a watch on it. So your first chances start to pop up into the evening hours. There you go, 8 o'clock. This is 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and we see a line pop up. Logansport, can you say Grissom, over here to the central portion of the state, right? And another line up towards the state line just south of Lake Michigan. And then that develops and kind of pushes off. See how most of the big band and the worst is still off to our east. But we will develop the secondary little band of thunderstorms back here. And what I notice is it's pretty broad, right? By this time, this is 8 o'clock into the evening, right? Pretty broad across the state and across Illinois, but it doesn't have that intensity and the number of strikes that you saw on the first band. See the blues in here where you're seeing more intense thunderstorms, right? Right there. So you see where the biggest potential is. But look we're not that far away at all, with Lafayette being right here, and Fort Wayne's right here, so it looks like they're going to get something pretty good. But Lafayette's right here, so it wouldn't take much to be in towards us. But right now it looks like it's going to be east, the main band. Most of our thunderstorms are just going to be the variety of very small hail, possibly gusty winds, and lightning more than anything else. But there's just a slight risk for a tornado in there all across the line. And you notice we're not getting any of the bright stuff. We're just getting your kind of general reds and yellows and oranges there with some greens wrapped around it, and then it dies away pretty quick. So there's 8 o'clock. Here's 9 o'clock. It's pretty broad across the area, with Lafayette being right here. Says about, it tells you about almost one flash every 5 minutes. That's not a very big thunderstorm, is it? But in some of the tight areas you get in here, it gets a little higher for the numbers. You see, so that's where you're looking at that. So thunderstorm there, it starts to die away by about 10 o'clock, and 11, the thunderstorm potential is gone, and we're mostly in rain with just some isolated lightning strike potential. And you notice the second band that was back here, there's just not much with it, maybe a couple little thunder strikes, because this area has now all robbed the energy from the area to the north that will develop. And then so that will sag down overnight, and it will just sag down as in the form of more rain and maybe a couple isolated thunder shots. All right, that'll be about it on there. But let's take a look at the NAM nest and see what it has for timing on this. And we go back a little bit. So the NAM nest, here we are into the afternoon hours, all right? So now we are at 2 o'clock this afternoon, and this is about when the Cubbies game is getting ready to get started. And Cubs game is right about here, Lafayette being right about here. And we can see the showers. We see the low kind of in the same place, very close, very similar in proximity. And then the NAM by 4 o'clock, see, it does not bring the thunderstorms over Chicago, so maybe they'll get lucky. By 4 o'clock, there's a pretty good line, though, of showers all the way along here and thunderstorms starting to develop. And there you go, this is now 6 o'clock. Here's Lafayette. The thunderstorms have pressed their way through Chicago by this time frame, and we see a pretty good line developing here. You notice it shows a small low there just off to our east in the area where we're really worried about. Now, see, this is more likely. This is a long line of thunderstorms to me, capability, and it goes right on our doorstep, right? What time? 7 o'clock. Right as the Purdue game's getting ready to kick off. So by 8 o'clock, it presses south of us, and 9 o'clock, it's really kind of by us by that point. This is more likely to me. It looks a little more likely to me. But it still shows the intensity, the most intense stuff out to our east. And then it goes by. There's a second little wave, and it shows the rain showers and maybe an isolated thunderstorm popping up behind the system. And that's at midnight right there. So here's 11 o'clock. There's midnight. There's 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. We're finally cleared out by about 3 or 4 in the morning, and we're just left with a couple of light scattered showers. And I think this is kind of maybe some fog still left in the area by that time frame. But most of it will just be sprinkly fog. But look at what happens. Look how cold it starts to get. All right. This is 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. It shows a little bit of light snow on us. I'm going to say no at this point, but let's keep an eye out for flurries. Mainly because my 5400 line is still to the north, but we could be packing in cold air behind the frontal system, very down low, close to the ground, and it just won't have time to melt when it gets coming down tomorrow. Although the temperatures are going to crash overnight. All right. Be prepared for that. Overnight tonight and tomorrow, temperatures are going to go from 80s today, right, to like the 20s, upper 20s to 30s tomorrow, and would be Saturday morning, right? It's just going to crash. So get ready for that. Besides the chance for the thunderstorms this evening. So there you go. Let's see. Does it have lightning on this one too? Nope, it does not. We have some mean layers. We have some surface-based information. Significant tornado parameters. Let's see what it says for this evening. See this blotch right here? That's right there is at 6 o'clock this evening. You notice where it is. It's over towards Fort Wayne. It's not in Lafayette. We still have some very light green areas in here, but the yellows, the reds, the oranges, all of that is over towards Fort Wayne, and that pops up right at 6 o'clock, which is prime time, right? When is our strongest heating right now? It's going to be 4, 5, 6 in the evening, right in there in that time frame. So when we're going to be warmest in the day, that's going to be perfect for here. It'll be like 80, 82, 84 degrees. It's going to be hot, a little muggy, and behind the front, it's going to be 40. So that's where we're getting these battles going, okay? And you kind of see where the turning is, too. Up here, you got a due east wind. Over here, you got a southeast wind, more likely to east-southeast. But then that little flare-up, which still goes right along with the thunderstorm potential right there, goes and just dies away, right? So it shows our best chance. That would be, boom, 7 to 8 o'clock. But notice how it just washes out. Look how thin it is. Not much to it. Still, your reds and oranges are over here. So there is your potential for your severe weather really there. It's not much, but it's something we definitely want to watch, and then we watch it go through, and we're good to go. All right, at least on that one. Let's see. So that's the potential. Let's look at some ice real quick. Let's see what we've got for freezing rain accumulation, anything like that on the backside. Remember that little blotch? Yep, it shows just a little chance of some freezing rain in here overnight, very early tomorrow morning. I don't think it's that big a deal because that cold air is up above and the warmer air is below it right now. And so then it's going to pack in that way. So I think we're looking pretty good on that front. And, of course, this is just kind of the only place that shows some lingering showers or something is behind the system is right in Lafayette's area, of course, right? Couldn't be anywhere else. So there you have at least for today. What does today look like, right? And where are we looking at from that system and what we're looking at from it? Let's see how much of the 12Z is in. Okay, the 12Z is like half done. So look at that. It does go all the way through the time frame that the thunderstorms come through. So let's see if the new HER is getting closer to the NAM or is it still close to what it was. Now we see the little scrap stuff kind of coming across to the north of us, right? We can see those showers out in Iowa. We looked at them a little earlier. I think we got them right here. Yeah, see them right there? So they're going to hang on and cut across the north side of us, but they're going to fall apart as they come across to Illinois. So that's what you're seeing, just the remnants of that little low, which is right about here right now. That's going to pass by, right? And then, so there we are at 4 o'clock this afternoon. And that's 3 o'clock in Chicago, so they'll be right in the middle of the game. The game's trying to go on right about here. Lafayette's right about here. We're not seeing anything, but we are starting to see showers and thunderstorms form to the north of us. And let's see if it comes online with what the NAM is saying. Oh, there we go. there's something new. Now at 6 o'clock, we start to see a little form of some thunderstorms to the north of us right there at that point, right? And then 7 o'clock, it kind of pushes it right on top of us by 7 o'clock. And then there's that bow, and we've got the intensity back in here. This little band right in there, we would want to definitely keep an eye on. But we're still only catching the edge of it here in Lafayette. And then it kind of goes through, still takes 8 o'clock. These things aren't going to move very fast. This isn't one of those where, boom, it comes through and 20 minutes later it's gone. These are lingering, slow-moving thunderstorms at this time. So 7, 8 o'clock, they're over us. 9 o'clock, they're over us. 10 o'clock, it looks like the line passes south of us by that point. And now we start to get into the second band of showers and thunderstorms back here, which will be up by Chicago by that time frame. And that is 10 o'clock. 11, still rain over us. The thunderstorms, though, have passed to the south of us by this point. And by 12, we're kind of getting ready for the second band to come through, and it's just light rain, and your thunderstorms have passed by us. So let's see how that goes by. And sure enough, what time's it clear out by? That's right there is 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock, and 6. So we're cleared out by 6 o'clock. Does it linger anything over us? Not like the NAM does, right? It tries to. Look at that. It still tries to bring something and leave it left over around us. So that'll be something we watch for. And then let's look at the lightning intensity on this. Convective, there we go. Lightning density on this one. Now, has it changed, or is it still similar to what the new run is putting out? And what I see is, the first thing I see is still, look at the intensity of the thunderstorms out to the east is much bigger than they are here. But I am picking up some more reds in a couple of these that we didn't see on the other run, right? So there we go. There it is. That's 6 o'clock. And at 7 o'clock, it's on our doorstep, which is what we've been going for, 7 to 10, right? Then 8 o'clock, it's still lingering around right here on the north side of Lafayette. Maybe even those of you on the south side of town haven't even gotten into a thunderstorm at 8 o'clock, right? And then at 9 o'clock, it looks like the same thing. We're still lingering with the thunderstorms just to our north. Look how slow it's moving. It's moving like 10 miles an hour at the most. And then there you go, there's 10 o'clock. It's right on top of the line. And then by the time we get to 11 o'clock, it's kind of passed to our south. But the intensities, while they're still there, are not the bright blues that we see over on the other ones. We do see some pretty good thunderstorms. Remember, they were much farther away from the main cell. We were much closer to the main cells where they think they'll pop up. They rob energy from us and for the thunderstorms here. So that's why we see that. And then the thunderstorms just die away, and it's just like rain the rest of the night. All right, so nothing's changed there on that front. That looks about the same. It's this blob right here, right? And the other one showed it a little bit farther south. I think I had it right in here more, right? But you notice it's still in the eastern half of Indiana. In the western half of Indiana, this is more of a hail maker, right? And a wind maker than it is a tornado maker, where this out here, where the intensities and the thunderstorms themselves are stronger, is more of your potential for the tornadoes. That does not mean we don't have a chance. It just means we have probably slightly less chance. Now we're talking with numbers like over here it's 10%, and in Lafayette it's 3 to 5%. That's the numbers we're looking at. Both are still slim, but it's something to keep an eye out for tonight. And matter of fact, let's zoom out just one shot real quick and look at the thunderstorms. You see them out there in Ohio. There's even more out to the east of that. So they're kind of really showing you where that is. When you go to the Storm Prediction Center, you can see that's where they're really focusing on, right? Lafayette is there. It's in the box. There's still some potential there, but not as good as some of those others. And we look at the hail potential. We're still really high. Wind potential, we're high. And then the tornadic activity, we drop down, because look at your percentages. The whole box, right, the best it is 5%. 5% for the entire box, right? And for this outer edge, it's only 2%. So when you look at the probabilities, and I bet they're going to have a pinpoint like this sometimes later today. They're going to put it right in here from Kokomo over to Central Illinois, maybe over to what is it over there where the Football Hall of Fame is? Come on, somebody let me know. Who's out there knows where the Football Hall of Fame is? Camden. Is it Camden? Camden, Ohio? No. I'm close. I got the name close. It doesn't matter. It's over there in the eastern half of Ohio. Gosh, I got the Baseball Hall of Fame bouncing through my mind and other things too. So, all right, so let's hit some of the model data that goes out farther. Right, let's go over to the ECMWF, which is the European model. See what it shows just for precipitation. The SLP, it shows the thunderstorms right along our front right there. Of course, here it comes in. Boom. That's 5 o'clock. Then here we are at 8 o'clock, and it shows the line right on top of us, right? So, and that it seems like 8 is the prime time, but 7 or as early as 7 or maybe 6 o'clock, we're going to start seeing them to the north of us. Then they'll kind of hedge in there. This one shows more intensity over us, but it's still, there's a focused pattern of one band of thunderstorms up here to the north into northern Indiana and northern Ohio. I'm going to keep an eye on this all day today, and we'll see how it goes. Going to try to watch the game tonight, but it's right during the game where the severe weather potential will be. And look how this big batch starts to pop up in Ohio, and that's by about 11 o'clock. And most of the thunderstorm activity is past us by then. And then by 2 o'clock in the morning is far to the south. And by, there you go, 5, 6, 8 there in the morning, we're looking high and dry, and we're starting to drop our temperatures off, right? And a big old high comes in for Saturday. Saturday, high and dry on Saturday. And Sunday, let's see. Sunday looks high and dry. Oh, whoa, what's that? Pops up right there. Looks like some mid clouds, maybe some small upper level disturbance trying to make some showers on Sunday during the day. That right there is 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It doesn't look big at all, but there's a little disturbance there. And then we kind of go through. We keep an eye on this, and we still don't see our big daddy storms anywhere around us, do we? And then next Tuesday, March 31st, we see a system develop out to our west coming in on Wednesday. And look at this bad boy. Woohoo! Look at them thunderstorms stretched all the way from Oklahoma, arcing up to Chicago, and then arcing back towards Toronto. Wow! Big band of thunderstorms. That is Wednesday morning next week. Wednesday morning, and then it comes through, it looks like, during the day on Wednesday. Passes through pretty quickly compared to what we'll see tonight with slow movers. And then it goes on by Wednesday. So Wednesday, boom, activity. Now, what's that going to do? Obviously, we're going to cool off for a couple days. Then we're going to warm up for a couple days, Monday into Tuesday, right? Maybe even Sunday, Monday into Tuesday. And then, bam, Wednesday, here comes the cold again, right? So the front goes through, and we'll cool off. It doesn't look like it's that bad compared to what it was. And then there's a system to our south. Now we're starting to get active. Remember yesterday I said next week will be active, and then the week after looked a little less active? We're starting to see some more rain. Here we are into Thursday. That one misses us, though. Look at that right there. Just to our south, all these thunderstorms, all these heavy showers down to the south, right through Kentucky. Could be some flooding in Kentucky I could see from that. A lot of those little creeks, they have a lot of houses on the sides of creeks and stuff like that. Sometimes they fill up like that with thunderstorms. So people got to watch out for that in some of the areas in Kentucky. We're on the northern edge, just of the rain band on that. We're still kind of in the cool territory too. But then look at what we see here. Another thunderstorm. Look at these. Woo! Back out here. Into Iowa. Some pretty good thunderstorms next Saturday. For us, we're on the warm front side of it. We see showers and maybe an isolated thunderstorm running through next Saturday, the day before Easter, right? And then it goes through. And then here's the front. The front is now pushed to our north. We get into the warm sector Saturday afternoon into the evening, and then thunderstorms come through Saturday night into Sunday. And this looks much better than it did yesterday. Yesterday it had the rain on Sunday coming through. So it looks like Easter Sunday next week still looks pretty much high and dry for us. It passes through by 8, 9 in the morning, and then it goes on to the south. And then the rest of the week looks quiet again. There's one system that tries to come through the following Thursday, April 9th. And we'll have to see what develops with that. All right. So let's go way back here and now look at the GFS and what it's looking at. And then we'll come back and look at temperatures here in a little bit for the whole time frame. All right. So it shows there's the stuff going through tonight, right? And it's showing this is just past us by about 11 o'clock. Let's go to the one before it. It shows it just north of us. But look where its focus is. Its focus is still out towards the east of Lafayette, with Lafayette being right here and the Fort Wayne area being right there. So a little harder to see on this chart, but then it goes by and you see all the intensity back out over here, over Ohio and into eastern Indiana. That is by 11 o'clock. It goes by and it clears out again by the morning time frame, just like we've been looking at. No changes there. What about that? There's the high coming in for Friday, and then Saturday it starts to allow some warmer air back in, starts pulling it up from the south. We see no moisture during that Monday time frame or whatever it is. Oh, there it is. Pops out late on Monday, a chance for some little bit of light rain. I'm not going to be real jumping on that yet until it gets more organized. And then Tuesday, here comes the developing system. We see the rain up and around us, right? Just there's the arc of everything. It's a little more disorganized back towards the plains area. Then it gets its act together. And sure enough, here we go, Wednesday. During the day, it has it coming through during the day on Wednesday with potentials for some thunderstorms there on April 1st. You fool me, huh? All right, so then it lays out all the way through Wednesday night, potential for thunderstorms. So that's one of those days where we could see a lot of rain right in there. All right, so something to look for that. And then it kind of keeps us in the rain. Look at this. Kind of keeps us in the rain. The next system comes up on Thursday. So all of Wednesday into Thursday, it could be some rain. That's going to go north of us, I would think, at this rate. Look at that. There it goes. Passes to the north. We get into the warm sector late Thursday, right? This is Thursday evening. And look at the boogeyman's coming. There's his eyes, his nose, his mouth. He's yelling at us. Well, here he comes. And this is 8 o'clock Thursday night. Thunderstorms are just to our west, and then they come in around 11, 12, which is better time frame, 11 to 2 in the morning, because we have now knocked down some of our heat of the day, and it goes off towards the east. So that's April 2nd into the 3rd, it looks like. Then a big old high takes over, and we look pretty good. How do we look on Easter Sunday? Still shows it high and dry, so we look decent there. Starting to warm back up, I would think. The next little system looks a little chaotic. It's all over the place. We don't see a really organized low anywhere in any of these systems as you get farther out. And then there's some pretty big rain potential way out on April 8th. This is early morning hours, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3. Now we're at 5. Now we're at 8 o'clock in the morning. We have a chance for thunderstorms. The developing low is really close to us at that point. So that's one we'll have to keep an eye on, too, as we get towards it. I just wanted to point out something about like these long-range forecasts and look how warm it's going to be around the beginning of April and that kind of thing. Do you remember 2 weeks ago when I told you don't think about those things, right? That you have to take them with a grain of salt? Sorry, I'm going to bend down and get my pencil. No, my pen. But you remember 2 weeks ago when we were looking at it, showed cold air coming in on April 1st. Now we're closer to it, and now it's starting to show warm air with precipitation around it, right? That's what it's starting to show. All right, so let's go to the surface charts. Let's start looking at temperature. And let's zoom in real quick for just today, and we'll see what today looks like, all right, when we go in on the HER. So it's going to show us pretty warm here in the early morning hours. Let's see if we got the right chart on here. All right, so here we are. It is Thursday morning, isn't it? All right, it's not on the HER yet. All right, let's go to the HER. Let's go to the 12Z run. We got enough of it in there. All right, so here it is. It's showing us early morning hours. It's like 61 degrees in the early morning. That we know, right? There it is right there. That is 9 o'clock. And what were we at 9 o'clock? We were at 63. Now we're at 65 degrees. 65 degrees outside right now. Model says we're at 62, so it should be, well, that was, 40 minutes ago. But it has us to 65 by 11 or 10 o'clock, so we're pretty close to on track there. Look at this. We're at 71 by, what time is that? That's 12, by noon. By noon, we're at 71, 74 by 1 o'clock. Then we're at 77 by 2 o'clock. Then we're at 78 by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Look at it. This is our time. Here's where Lafayette is. Lafayette's right here. Look at all this warm air trapped right over here, trying to go this way, right? And the cold air is north of it, trying to come to the south. All right, so then we get into the 82. 82 by 4 o'clock this afternoon, guys. Woo, doggy. And then 83, it looks like it wants to tap out. Nope, 85. 85 for your potential high today. I believe that for sure. 85, maybe even 87 for a couple spots. It looks like we may hang on to it for a couple hours. 5 to 6 o'clock right here. And then boom, 7 o'clock, here comes the colder air. The front's coming through. Boy, you could pinpoint right where the thunderstorms were, couldn't you? And then where this kink is, right back here, right where this low is right there, that's where there's some thunderstorms that are going to be on more of the severe activity, right in that spot right there. Yet still, I still see, you notice it also showed some stronger thunderstorms out in Illinois, not as strong as the ones in Ohio. And then for us, we were kind of the in-betweener with not nearly the intensity of lightning and convection that we could see out to the west of us and then out to the east of us. So we're kind of in the center, but we're still in a spot we got to worry about, all right? Now, temperature-wise, now watch it crash overnight. Boom, boom. Here we are. This is 9 o'clock tonight. We're back into the 50s, all right? By midnight, we're down into the 40s. There you go. Let's see, when do we hit the 30s? Boom. By 4 o'clock, we're at 41. And 5 o'clock, still 41. And then we're into the 40s. There we go, into the 30s by 7 o'clock. And bam, by 8 o'clock, you're at 37 degrees in Lafayette right there. Winds are just howling out of the north at that point, right? So you can see how we have the two differences in the battling systems back and forth, right? And then so now we've seen everything go and do as it is. And look at your temperatures during the day tomorrow. Noon, it's still 36. It's only at 1 o'clock, it's 37, and that's about it for the day. The actual high temperature is going to come after midnight tonight. And then overnight, tomorrow night, it's right back down into the 30s. And by, I think, Saturday morning, you're probably talking like 28 to 31, depending on the cloud cover, all right? So let's go look at the temperature this afternoon. We're at 85, right? And then what is it around midnight? Here's the midnight temperature. The midnight temperature shows 49. That will be your high for tomorrow, roughly, give or take. Upper 40s, but it'll lie to you because you're thinking, oh, the high is going to be 50 today. No, it will have already passed tomorrow morning. And we will be in the 30s and maybe very low 40s tomorrow during the day on that front, okay? So there it goes through. The temperatures drop off. We see the cold. Then we breathe a little bit during the day. We try to get a little warmer, but it doesn't really get above even 240. And then we're back down low for the overnight hours. What's the NAM look like for this on the same time frame? I see some 20s overnight there. Let's see how it goes through it. It bumps us up and just kind of keeps us right on the edge of the 70s and 80s tonight. And then, boom, the thunderstorms come through by 8 o'clock. And then by 11, here we are starting to drop our temperature. After midnight at 2 in the morning, it's already down to 45. It's in the 30s. By 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock, and then by 8 o'clock, it's at 38, and it does the same thing. It keeps the temperature, it rebounds us only back to 42 or 44 tomorrow, so that wouldn't be too bad, I think. Say it clears out and the clouds go and we get some sunshine, we might see 44 pretty easily. Otherwise, it's going to be 44, we'll call it 42 for the high tomorrow. Somewhere in there if the cloud cover stays. And then here's the overnight, the next morning, Saturday morning. There you go, 29, 28 degrees, 35, 42, and we start to warm up a little bit on Saturday. You're only mid to upper 40s right now for Saturday's high temperature, mid to upper 40s. And then Sunday rebounds with an early morning somewhere in the 30s, but the temperature's starting to rise. Your low may actually come at around midnight, and then the temperatures slowly start to rise during the day as we now reverse our flow from due north now to the south and southwest, and we start to bring back in the warm again. See how spring works. 2-3 days up, 2-3 days down. 2-3 up, 2-3 days down. Sometimes it's 3-4 days up, 3-4 days down. It just depends, but there's a lot of this ups and downs in your forecast and stuff you have to get used to when you get into the spring hours, all right? So this goes all the way out to Sunday evening, and it looks pretty good on that front, right? There you go. Getting back up to 48 degrees by 2 in the afternoon on Sunday. All right, so let's go farther. Let's go with the GFS and see what it says temperature-wise. All right, it's showing mid-40s and lots of 50s around us. This tells me there's cloud cover over us during the day there, right? See the pocket of colder air there? So it does look like it could be cloudy on Sunday. At least the GFS thinks so. And the GFS is going for Looks like low 20s. There we go. Low 30s. And there I can see it. Yeah, somewhere in the low 30s for our lows Friday morning. Wow. Okay, so now we push out to Monday. We say it's going to reverse itself. It's going to start trying to change itself on Sunday, right after a couple of cold days on Friday and Saturday. And then by Monday afternoon, we're back in the upper 70s. Right there. You see that? Upper 60s to near 70, 72 degrees on Monday. And I'll bet Tuesday it's even warmer. Sure enough, there it is, 75, maybe all the way as high as 78. Watch how it bumps it. You watch. Here it is, 75. We're going to talk tomorrow, and this will probably say 78 if I remember it. You watch. It'll be like that. And then Wednesday, we push into Wednesday, warm still, 70-something, but I'm starting to see some influence to the north of cold air, but not a lot. It's another nice day on Wednesday temperature-wise. There's our influence. Here comes our system on Thursday into the evening hours. We still get into the 70s. Maybe this might develop into something a little bit bigger. And we'll have to see if we get some push and some pull and try to get some 80s up into here by Thursday afternoon. Right now, it's still just showing us 70, 75. That helps our thunderstorm activity not be as big. But it'll go bumping through it, reinforces some cold just a little bit. Not too much, but we'll have a cold day Thursday, Friday maybe, with some rain in and out. And then Saturday, we're trying to warm back up, but then we're trying to get some cold air in here. We're getting the battle from the south coming and the north coming. And we've all heard this in school, how this works. But it does work pretty much like that at times. Then we push through, and then boom, there's some reinforcing cold for next Sunday. We talked about that. So no changes on the GFS from the European model. How warm does it get the following week? It does show just a little cool off for a couple days. And then there you go, by Monday, you're already back up to 60, 65. And then we're pushing 40s in the morning. And we're now 60s and 70s in the afternoons on Wednesday, Thursday. And what about next Thursday? Next Thursday shows 60s, but then it shows another system coming in and reinforces the cold a little bit. So, man, there's a lot of activity going on this evening. Here's your storm prediction sites, what they're looking for at the SPC. Categorical, all of it looks like that. When you break it down to tornadoes, you see where it is, and we're on the left side of the little eyeball on the target in the 5% range, with the intensity being on the low side. With its winds, same thing. We're still in the same area, but now we're in a 30% area chance, and the intensity is still on the light side. And then hail, potential for that looks to be about the same. So you notice that's centered more on Indiana, right? You see that. So that's why we're saying small hail is more of a potential for us. While when you go to wind, it's a little more centered over the state line possibly. And same thing with the tornadoes. State line to just to the east of it, with us being way out here on the edge, right? So we're not exactly in the center of the bullseye, but we're still also not in an area that we can just go, hey, everything's going to be great and things will be fine, right? So that's why we're looking at it that way. So currently 65 degrees, winds out of the south-southwest at 11 miles an hour. Looking for a high temperature somewhere in the mid-80s today, guys. Mid-80s. Slingshot's getting out. If I feel good enough here in about 15 minutes to a half an hour, I may take it up to Walmart just so I can get something for the game tonight. And I need an adapter to try to get a second screen in here so I'm not always bouncing around looking at you guys crazy like there's something wrong with me, all right? So, all right, so I'm going to pop out here real quick. Let's take a look at this. Boom. Right across, and you can see me now, and I can talk to you about the big game tonight. The Purdue game is coming up. Now, we know what time it is. It's at 7:10 tonight. It's on CBS. That's good news. You'll be able to see it. If you got little antenna ears like I got on top of my roof, I'll be able to see the game too. But we'll also be thinking about thunderstorms, and I will probably have my phone and my iPad right next to me. I might do a quick cast. You know what a quick cast is? For me, a quick cast is just 1 minute, 2 minutes, tell you what's going on, and get off the air so you can figure out what you're going to do. And in severe weather, we really want to think about that. And it might be just my face saying, hey, there's thunderstorms to the north, there's this, that, and the other, and we'll get off right away because I'll be watching the game. I'll have it in front of me too, that kind of thing. I was thinking of going live during the game totally live to show the aspects of the game and the thunderstorms at the same time. That's still a possibility. I might still try to do that. Just set up something in front of me, but it'll be out in the living room. You'll see my lounge chair that I've been seeing a lot of lately, that kind of thing. So tomorrow evening at 7:10, or tonight at 7:10, sorry, I got my days mixed up already. And right around the time frame, we'll be looking for the thunderstorms coming through, depending on where you are in the county. Farther south you are, the later. Farther north you are, the earlier. Kind of normal, common sense stuff, right? And so I'm excited to see what's going to happen with the ball game tonight. They're taking on Texas. Texas is the 11 seed, and Texas happens to have a former Purdue player on it, Cam Heide. Sounds like everybody's lovey-dovey, back and forth. Everybody's happy. Happy for Cam for going to get maybe more playing time because it looked like he wasn't going to get a ton this year. And here his team is in the Sweet 16 just as Purdue is. So good for him. Matter of fact, he hit the winning shot in their last game. Cam did. So we don't want him to do that tonight. Tonight, we just prefer Cam to sit on the sidelines and wonder why they're not getting into the Elite Eight and how he should have stayed on Purdue to get into the Elite Eight, right? No. We're all good for what Cam is doing and what he does for himself. That works out pretty good. All right, so that's it on that front. One quickie on Purdue. Purdue now that we're going to move to the Cubs. Cubs start is at 2:20 our time. Whether they get it in or not is going to be questionable. All right, they're supposed to play the Nationals tonight, right? Or today at 2:20. It's on Marquee. You got to have the Marquee Network I don't know if the MLB.com has it on there or not. But it's possible you'll find it there that way. The Marquee channel is pretty good. I had it most of the year last year while they were winning, and I may pop it back up the gate. And what's good about that is you can get into it and get out of it anytime you want, all right? So there you go. The Cubs game, 2:20 today. No, I don't think they have any lineups out or anything yet, but that'll be coming here in the next few hours. It's 10 o'clock, so they'll get moving. It's 9 o'clock there almost. And it's 43 degrees up at Wrigley right now. I think that's what they're expecting during the game. Guys, I am so sorry about this yawning. I slept good last night, but I didn't sleep a lot. I only slept like 7 hours. I got to have 8 to 9 to really get my body to recover, so I may have to take a nap this afternoon. After I run to Walmart to get an adapter for my other screen over here, so I'll have it. Took the grandsons with us yesterday, and we went to the Purdue surplus store, bought me a new screen over here, and it turned sideways so it fits right in the spot right where I need it. And then hopefully I can take the OBS and put it over here and talk to you on screen like this a little bit better without having to do both on this screen. And maybe that'll make it easier, maybe it won't. Maybe it'll make it harder on me. You know how I am. So I am going to call it a day. Let's hit the highlights of what's going on right now. 65 degrees, and it is sunny outside right now. Winds are out of the south at 11 miles an hour. Looking for a high temperature. It says 84. I say 86. I always bump a couple degrees, but look at the temperatures. I'm looking at the overview here. Boom, lots and lots of sunshine. Sunshine clouds start to increase late in the day. We're around 84 degrees. Look at this. Some rain maybe by 7. They're pretty close. Thunder bumpers by 8, 9 o'clock and 11. And then it's just rain after that with maybe an isolated thunderstorm. And look at your chances. In the 80s, the 90s to 100% really for your rain tonight. So there you go. Then it cools off for a couple days. Starts to warm back up for like 3 days. And then it'll cool off for a few days. You know how it goes. But 84 today, I think maybe the official first 80 because I don't think we quite hit it. Let's go back here and look at the numbers. I think these are official numbers here, and it does not show. That one day it said 77 at the airport, and I know a lot of us thought, it's warmer than that. But today it says we're going to hit 84, which is definitely going to be over the first 80 of the year. But notice that lots of these ups and downs here. Look at this. And then the forecast, it shows the forecast temperatures too. And then these black lines are our averages for the high and low. And look at March getting into April. As we get into April, the first few days, let's go right to April 1st. April 1st half daily high temperature is 57, daily low is 37. That's on April 1st. And then by the end of the month, here we are to the 25th, your average high is now 66 and your average low is 44 for the end of the month of April. So that's what you can expect, like a 10-degree jump. All right. April 1st, 54. April 29th, roughly 67. So like almost a 15-degree change. There you go on that front. All right, guys, it's been great talking to you. Maybe I'll be on the air tonight. We'll try to see what's going on, and I'll do some quick casts for you and throw them out there on Facebook and on YouTube, and we'll see what happens with some of the severe weather tonight. This is Brian, your weatherman, signing off. See you tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock.